Hello everybody, welcome to Biotech channel where we discuss about biotech issues and challenges. Today we're going to be looking into what they call family continuity through male child. That's the male descendant as access key to family continuity. We're looking at this issue as it affects Africa and people of African origin. Because in Africa, we lay emphasis on male child as the only access to family continuity. Though in certain instances, a female could be set aside to procreate in the name of the family, but that's just in certain circumstances. But we're going to look at it generally. We're going to get perspective from other people. My name, always the same, Aneke Pascal Chinone, the founding director of Biotech Research and Training Center. And on the stage with me, the stage is Dr. Bangura. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm also Molai Bangura. I'm joining the Pascal to just discuss the issue from my own perspective. I'm also a PhD student doing economics at the University of Lagos.
Yeah, well, as we're talking about the issue of family continuity, you see, within the African setting, every family wants to have a male descendant. We probably almost from the patriarchal or say patrilocal. We emphasize on male descendant as access key to family continuity. So any family that has no male child is seen as an unfortunate situation. And a man that does not leave male descendant to continue that ancestral chain of is seen as a disservice to humanity. So it's unfortunate is the man that leaves no male descendant. This is our cultural belief. This is where we are born into. This is the culture we propagate. So within the Western world, they have various views, differing views. Or even within some societies in Africa, they don't practice that. Not everyone practices this patriarchal system. Also the one that defines on the child belongs to the mother. But within the Igbo culture particularly, the child belongs to the father. So the family is anchored on the male, the boy child. So in Igbo culture, when a man has no female child, when a man has no male child, male descendant, and he dies, the family rallies round. If the wife is still alive, a brother or someone nominated from the family could cohabit with the wife to procreate in the name of the late man. We gather together to support him, just like people gather together to support someone in need. Now, this is a need that is beyond need. It's an ontological need for that family continuity. Because the ancestral link cannot be cut. We don't believe that it can be cut. It has to continue. So we make out that situational decision whereby the continuity is not coming from the man. Someone can assist the wife to get the child in his name. Similar to what the use of donated sperm or surrogate assisted reproduction in the contemporary era. But when you also look at it, when the wife is also maybe has gone to reached the age of menopause, is not able to procreate, and has a female daughter, the daughter can be kept set aside to procreate in the name of the late father. And then, but the problem arises when a young lady is allowed to procreate. We ask ourselves, who is the husband? Who makes this girl pregnant? That's one of the issues that we find out through our research. Now, it goes to people who moves around, meeting men. They call them men of high potency sexuality. Within my research, we call it like he-goats, because they're like the he-goats in the local communities that assist people to procreate. The child does not belong to the he-goat. Just like someone come take a he-goat that belongs to me to mate with his or her own she-goat. And the kids will belong to the she-goat owner, not to the he-goat. So the he-goat is just a service provider that has no stake. So when such a girl that is set aside through the IWY practice, like keeping a girl for voluntary reproductive practices to fill in the gap in family continuity, the problem lies on who is the man or who are the men that assist these women to procreate. So it's a clandestine practice. Breaks the problem of there's no, like within the contemporary, when you want to get married or raise a child with a woman, you undergo medical test. But then there's no medical history. And it's done in secrecy. So the man, Mr. A, could help Mrs. B to procreate. And the same Mr. A helps Mrs. C, D, E to procreate. And tomorrow, the children, the offspring from here and there will intermarry without knowing that they are from the same man, from the same source. And that leads incestuous marriage or what we call sibling marriages, which is also against our culture and tradition. So we see problems with this. But in our desire to fill in the vacuum in the family creates other problems, which our research is going to expose in our subsequent meeting. But let us hear how it is done in Sierra Leone, where Dr. Bangura comes from.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this is really an opportunity to drill deep into some cultural issues and to really understand the social structure and the cultural structure of where maybe I'm coming from. I think as you've explained, Dr. Pascal, mine is not really, our own culture is not quite in variance with what you guys have. We are also embedded in the same patriarchal culture where we really hold a lot of credence in terms of having a male child in the family for family continuity. And it really borders on two things. One, culturally, but then second, there is also a religious perspective to it. One, at the cultural level, it is really based on the belief that, the ownership of properties in most of these are community-based. So, and because they are community-based, and we see the girl child as a stranger to the family, because that's our perspective, that girl child basically will leave the family one day and start her own family in another neighborhood, maybe in a different clan. So, but for the male child, because you have a community structure where the property is owned by the community, you want the share of that community, and your share of that property in the community, you can only get it through the male child, which is a descendant. You understand? So that is why every family wants a representation at the community table. And because female don't come, most times when we have meetings in the villages, women don't attend those meetings. Yeah. It is the male child that represents. If the father is not alive, that household is represented by the male child. So if that family doesn't have a male child, it means you will not sit on a meeting that is really meant for the community, and you miss out on a lot of things. At the religious perspective also, it comes to mostly like the country I'm coming from, it's more of an Islamic dominated country where you have almost 85% of the people are Muslims, 15% are maybe Christians, you understand? But then when you look at family values within the Muslim setting, there is so much emphasis, although the Quran really gives a lot of credence to fair play. However, when it comes to embedding religion and culture, mind you, it's difficult for us to disentangle religion and culture. Sure. We have embedded both. And because of bringing religion and culture, we've meshed them together. That cultural aspect of the male child being at the centerpiece of inheritance again stands tall. Yes. So this is an issue I think that we have to dwell with. But one perspective that I've seen, because of education and the ascendancy of the middle class, we are beginning to see erosion of those deep state cultures, eroding more in urban centers now, where people who have left those villages and they've grown up in urban centers, they don't hold on fast to some of these cultural
enlightenment.
Enlightenment, education, and then the growing middle class that we've seen, you understand, is beginning to really erode that space for the cultural. But however, even if you are educated, I think one thing that is again embedded in our culture is there is always a place you want to call home.
Exactly.
And that is where you get the confrontation. We are rooted in that. We can't run away from it. So these are things we'll continue to discuss, and these are things that we need to really understand better and share our perspective so that we'll be able to close in some of the gaps, the loopholes that we have.
Yeah, thank you, Bangura, for giving us the perspective. As we move on in the design, we'll be exposing more issues, and then we'll see how we can resolve all these issues so that we can support people that are in need, and then educate people that are into this problem, because there's education liberates. So the liberating value of education will then set them free from some of the cultural entanglements that are not compatible with present day realities. Thank you very much.